Hello everybody, I hope you can see me. Yep, looks like I'm going live. Never done one of these things before. I've always joined in with everybody else's, but never actually hosted a live video before. So hopefully, yay, I'm on, yes, I've got a little heart, cool. Okay, so my name's Ruth. A croeso I Gogledd Cymru, welcome to North Wales. So I live right along the coast in North Wales, so not far from Conway or Llandudno, if anybody's familiar with that. It's all very, very quiet up here at the minute. It's a massive tourist area, so we're missing all the summer visitors at the minute. We missed all the Easter visitors as well because of lockdown, but it's actually quite nice that it's quiet. Although I'm going to be talking to you about being in the outdoors a little bit today, along with karate and mindfulness. And yeah, I'm sitting in my lounge. That at the moment is because we've got a lot of diggers around our house, and we've been having people cutting down trees with chainsaws this morning, so it's been really, really noisy outside. So I've just had to pop inside the lounge for a little bit to kind of start off and everything. And if it stays quiet outside, I'm hoping to actually go outside into the garden to do the karate, because that's where I've been doing it and that's where I'd like to do it, not in a hot lounge. At the minute I've got all the fan on my face and everything because I'm absolutely boiling hot. So anyway, thank you Marie for inviting me to your festival. It's such a lovely idea, and you're raising money for such a good cause, and it's just allowing people to share their love of creativity, share it with other people so they can learn something new. So yeah, I'm going to try and teach you a little bit of karate in a bit, but first of all I just want to talk about my experience of lockdown. It's been going on for about 9 weeks now, and we still got it here quite harsh in Wales. England's lifted quite a lot of their lockdown measures. Wales, we're still in absolute full-on lockdown, but we are allowed to go outside for our exercise, which I'm really, really grateful for. I couldn't get through lockdown without my exercise and without being outdoors. So when lockdown happened, I was really scared that they would take away our ability, our right to go outside at all. That's what I was really worried about, because the outdoors means so much to me. I have to be outdoors every day. It's where I feel grounded and connected and relaxed. If I'm just in the four walls day in, day out, I'm sure many of you are the same. You just start going a bit stir crazy, but I just really feel at peace in the outdoors. So as soon as I knew that I was still allowed to go outside, that was a bit of a relief. And then I started panicking about my exercise, because I'm a really, really active person, not just in the outdoors, because I enjoy hill walking, I enjoy running outdoors too, but I also practice Scraggy karate at my local academy, John Lynn's Martial Arts in Colwyn Bay. So I was really worried about that, because we train at a dojo inside. It's a lot of people train all together, so our academy had to shut. So yeah, I was really worried, you know, my karate, my exercise would be taken away from me, and the outdoors would be taken away from me, the two most important things to me to make me feel like a normal human being. Because I suffer with anxiety and depression, sure a lot of people do, and these two things are absolutely fundamental in keeping my moods stable. It's the best medicine on the planet is exercise and being outside for anxiety and depression. Quite often I'm not poo-pooing the medicine that you know you can have and stuff as well, but I try not to with that, and use other ways of doing it. So croeso Marie, croeso I pawb, welcome everybody. So yeah, so I was worried about my karate not carrying on anyhow, my instructor is absolutely amazing, and he decided to take the whole academy live and do Zoom classes online. So I've been doing about 9 weeks of online karate training, which has been absolutely amazing. Not had the same kind of social interaction because you're not there with all your friends. I really consider them a family, my karate family. There's a lot of camaraderie there. It's absolutely fantastic. That's a really, really big part of it. So we've obviously been training on our own at home, but we've kind of, because I've been on Zoom, you can see everyone else, you can speak to everybody else, when my instructor's not got us all on mute because he needs to take a class, but it's still fantastic. So I'm really, really grateful that my instructor, my Wrenchy, as I call him, did that for us all, and he's worked so hard. So it's saved my life, and I'm sure a lot of other people's lives. So like I said, we normally train inside on a dojo, and it's usually quite late at night at the academy. So because we've been having the online Zoom classes, I started to do them in my lounge, and then I thought, well, the weather's been amazing, and I've been outside in my garden as much as possible, so why not take my karate outside into the garden and stop doing it in the lounge? Because I can still get my Wi-Fi signal out in the garden. So I started to do that, and I did that because being outside for me in the first place helps me feel grounded, connected, relaxed. You've only got to listen to the sounds of the birds, the sounds of the wind in the trees, if you've got it in your garden, or just if you've got a garden. I mean, some people haven't, but I'm really lucky. So all that outside just helps me feel at peace anyway. It's a kind of just mindfulness in action, really. If you get yourself outside and just listen, it just helps you be in the here and now. Because there's some things you just can't control. Lockdown's been one of them, the situation we're going through has been one of them, but if you step outside, then nature changes, but it doesn't kind of change really quickly. It's always there, it's always constant. The birds are always singing, the breeze is always blowing, you've always got lovely views if you can get to them. The bees are always buzzing, and flowers are always growing, and trees and stuff. So if you can get yourself outside, it really connects you and grounds you. And if you've been feeling anxious about lockdown, it's a really, really good medicine for feeling anxious, because if you're feeling anxiety, you need to ground yourself. You need to pick things to ground you, things you can see, things you can hear, things you can smell. And being outside is just such a good way to do that. And if you just close your eyes when you're outside and just take in the here and now, and it's just mindfulness in action completely. You don't need all sorts of books about it and things like that. You can do, there's some amazing ones out there, but just get outside, and if you can. So I've got a few notes here. So being outside is a really good way to just be mindful and just, sorry, the diggers have started again, so I'm just closing the door. This is what live things are all about, isn't it? Okay, so being outside just creates that mindfulness within you. You can practice being mindful outside, just being in the here and now. Karate is a very mindful practice, I would say. It's one of the reasons that I decided to take it up in the first place. At my academy, when I joined up, the instructor will sit down with you and will ask you what you would like to get out of your training and why you would like to start a martial arts. One of my responses was that I want to get fit, lose some weight, build my stamina, because I'd gone a couple of years without going to the gym or doing any exercise, and I used to love it. And because my nephew and my brother did karate, I'd seen it in action. I thought, yeah, I'd quite like to do that. I think it might suit me. So I went and had a chat, and the physical side of it was one, but I didn't realise just how much of a mental side there is to the martial arts too. There's an awful lot of philosophy behind all the different martial arts. They've all got slightly different philosophies and things like that. But yeah, I said I want to train my mind a little bit more, to be a bit more disciplined. It's quite difficult to explain, really. Trying to think. Yeah, to be more disciplined, which I guess kind of means, because you have to focus an awful lot in a martial art, your mind is very focused on what you're doing now on the dojo. 'Cause the idea is that you come into your class and you leave any worries outside the door. It's kind of the philosophy behind karate and going on to the dojo. You leave your worries outside the door. You leave your thoughts about the past, what's happened today and what's going to happen tomorrow. And you just come in and you bow onto the dojo, and you're ready to train and you're ready to focus. And karate demands a lot of focus. You kind of almost need to reset your mind, almost when you walk in those doors, and clear it. And the more you train, the more you go along to your classes, the more that just becomes natural, because you're walking into this other space where you're gonna do something completely different and really focus. It's both mental and physical in its demands then, really. Yeah, it requires the mind to be clear. I've just written a few things down. Yeah, it requires the mind to be clear to accomplish your learning, because there's an awful lot of technique and moves you've got to focus on, and that's to develop muscle memory and things like that. So when you're training, you're really focusing on what you're doing. It doesn't allow you to dwell on other things and think about other things and everything. I've actually got a book here called The 20 Guiding Principles of Karate. It's really good. My instructor actually recommended it to me, and that's got kind of an awful lot of mindfulness in it, and sort of how karate develops mindfulness and things like that. It's really, really good. So a couple of those things that I've just been telling you about kind of comes from this man, Gichin Funakoshi. I hope I've said that right. Japanese is it's not amazing, although I have to learn it in my karate. I have to learn Japanese terminology for my black belt. I'm getting there with it. So yeah, so I decided to take my karate outside into the garden, because the outdoors for me and karate for me are two very mindful, provoking kind of activities, and one enhances the other. So when I'm outside, I just get into the here and now with the sounds and the sights and the nature, and that just actually allows me to get ready for my class online, and then I'll log into my class, and then I'm ready to go, and then I'm really focused for my class, and then the karate will invoke just more being in the here and now, because I'm really focused and really relaxed. Also with karate, something that creeps into mindfulness practice is when you move, when you do your techniques and you make a move, you're always using a strong outward breath. So you kind of breathe out on each move. It's a smooth and controlled breathing, and it leads to like a really relaxed feeling, but also an energy efficient state. So you're just really thinking about each and every move at a time, which really keeps you in the here and now, and I really like that about karate. So put the outdoors and karate together, and it's great, and that's what has been keeping me going through lockdown, keeping me sane, keeping me balanced, keeping me focused, keeping my anxiety levels in check as well. So yeah, so I want to actually teach you a bit of karate. I thought I'd give you a little bit of a taster as to what we do, rather than just talking at you, although I'm going to have to talk a little bit more when I'm doing what I'm doing, otherwise you're not going to have a clue what I'm trying to teach you. So I practice a form of karate called Shukakai karate. There's a few different forms of it, but this is Shukakai karate that I practice at my academy. And it's really taken from the point of view of self-defense. It's not taken from a point of view of violence, of meaningless violence, just, you know, going and attacking somebody and stuff. So we're taught all these amazing techniques and moves, and to be honest, some of them are incredibly deadly. You know, as a martial artist, you are a weapon. So we're taught that it's to only ever be used if there's absolutely no other option and no other way out. Otherwise, we're taught, you know, that the best black belts, if they can, they get out of the situation and they run away from it. They don't act on it. So that's how it's taught, and it's quite amusing that because at our academy we have children train all the way from 3 years through to juniors, and then to seniors, to us. And a lot of the children question Wrenchy, well, why are you teaching us all these like fighting moves and stuff then, if we're never allowed to use them? So yeah, the children find that hard to grasp, but as they get older, they kind of start to understand the meaning of it. But they are taught from a really early age that it's not something you should use, you know, in the playground and things like that, that it's not supposed to be violent. Right, okay, so I'm going to just turn the camera around a sec. Now, it's gone really, really noisy outside again, I'm afraid. There's chainsaws galore and diggers and everything. So I'm going to have to do it from a lounge. You're just going to have to imagine me outside, because that's where I normally do it. Okay, I need to set my camera up enough so you're going to be able to see what I'm doing. So I might jiggle you around a little bit. Apologies. Let's have a little look. Okay. Right. So you're going to need a bit of space for this if you're going to join in. But just make sure I'm not going to be teaching you like flying kicks and things like that, so don't worry about that. Right, let's have a look. Hopefully you can all see me and I'm not in too much shadow. Okay, right, I hope you've all got a bit of space. I've got enough. Okay, so karate always begins and ends with Rei. So Rei means respect for others, it's respect for yourself, and it shows self-esteem as well, and confidence, and it also means that showing that respect means that it's not about violence. So Rei is a bow, so it shows respect. So whenever we come onto the dojo, first thing we have to do is bow on to the dojo. So we stand with our feet together, hands by your side, oos, and that kind of just is an agreement that you're agreeing with the respect and the bow. So before anything in karate, we have to bow, and at the end of anything we do another bow. So give me a bow, everybody. Hands together, feet together. Oos. Okay. Right, so I was telling you that karate is from a self-defense point of view. So in karate, there's a lot of self-defense moves. So they obviously come in the form of kicks as well, because you may have to throw a kick to defend yourself. But they also come in the form of like blocks. So if people are coming at you, attacking you, if they're going to attack you, I mean, there's all sorts of ways somebody can get you, and we're taught all sorts of ways to get out of situations. But I'm going to teach you a few of the blocks. They're pretty easy, really, at first glance, but there's a lot of technique behind them. You know, I'm a brown and black belt now, heading towards my black belt, and I'm still learning to do really spot on techniques with the blocks, which are some of the simplest kind of things, but you're always learning in karate, you never stop learning. So I'm gonna show you a head block, okay, first of all. So a head block, it's a Jodan uki, okay, so Jodan means head height, and the uki is the block. So it's a Jodan uki, and in karate you always start in a yoi stance. Okay, yoi means ready. Okay, you're ready. So feet kind of shoulder width apart, and your hands kind of just out in front of your hips like this. So that's a yoi stance. So you always start from there. So a head block, basically, it's a bit tricky. I'll be mirroring you, so it's my left arm that I'm going to be using. So if you're facing the camera, it's your left arm that you want to use with the block. So you put your arm across your body first of all, so from there goes across, and then it goes up like this, okay, and you want it at a 45-degree angle, okay, above your head, in front of you, not right above your head like this, but in front of your head and 45 degrees like that. It's a very, very strong block. If somebody's coming at you with a sweeping arm, like a big old hook kind of punch, that goes up and it completely blocks your head. It's very, very strong. It's very difficult to push you over if you're in a really good stance with your legs and you've got that at 45 degrees. So from yoi, you want your arm to come across the midline of your body and up, okay? Now your other arm needs to do something as well, okay? Because this is your blocking arm, okay? But this arm, you don't just want it floating around. This is your pulling arm, your hikate, okay? It pulls back. So it gives you, because karate is all about movement in the hips, you see, it's all about twisting and the power that comes from that. So as you move across and you pull up, you want to pull back with your right hand onto your hip, okay, but keeping your fist kind of on your hip. Don't pull it any further back, your fist needs to land on your hip. So from yoi, you pull across and up and pull back like that, okay, and again from yoi and up, okay. That would defend you from any kind of punch been thrown to your head, okay, and that's a head block, a Jodanuki. Okay, the next block is a Chudanuki, which is a body block, so it's like a mid kind of block. So if somebody was going to be throwing a punch at like your stomach area, okay, so this one is again with the same arm you were doing you can do them with obviously both arms, but I'm just going to show you one side because otherwise I'd take forever, taking a long time as it is. This is what I've learned over 3 years, so all condensed into a little live video, but I'm not going to show you all of it. So, Chudanuki. So, for a Chudanuki, mid-body block, you have to again, your arm needs to go across kind of like your central part of your body, and it's like you're drawing a sword. Okay, so it's like you've got a sword in a scabbard down here. So your arm goes across and then it comes up like this, your fist. Okay, so it's down and up like that. Again, you want this other arm to be a hikite. You pull back because you get the power, bit of a twist in your hips when you do it. So from Yoi, it's down there and up. Okay, from Yoi, bring your arm across your body, down to if you're pulling a sword out, and up. And always pull that arm back. And you get this kind of twist in your body. And that's what gives you the power and the strength that's really important in your punches as well. So that's a chudanuki. Okay, then you've got a downward block, which is a gedanuki. Okay, so that's below belt, below your belt, that means. So with a downward block, you need to bring, again, same arm, right up to your ear. Okay, create a fist, because you've always got a fist on the end of these kind of blocks. So from Yoi, from ready, you want to bring your arm up, right up to your ear, and down, like that. Okay, but remember, you need to pull back with this arm, your hikite, okay, to give you that power, that twist. So you go from Yoi, and you bring it up, and down, like that. Okay, so Yoi, up, and pull down, and pull back. As you punch down, you pull back, so it's this kind of movement. Okay, that would be a good block for a kick. So if someone's throwing a kick at you, you're blocking that kick as they're coming towards you with their kick. So those are three of the kind of most basic blocks that I learn for either a strike to the head, or a strike to the body, or a kick to kind of the lower area, or if they're kicking sort of for mid-body as well. In karate, if you were sparring, so if you were having a bit of a light sparring with people, which we do, yes, you would be throwing kicks at each other, punches at each other, but you would equally have to use those blocks to protect yourself from your partner throwing the kicks or punches. And usually as well, if you've been attacked and you've blocked, you've got to counter, which usually means you'll throw a punch or a kick back at them. So if you've blocked one of their moves to you, you're usually gonna throw a counter back to them. So one of my favourite ones is with the head blocks. So you kind of have to get into a bit of a sparring pose for this to have a go at the head block and then a punch. The punch we're going to do is literally just a front punch, a gaigazuki. Okay, so again, you're pulling back with this hand, punching with that hand, and you twist of your hips. Okay, so if you were sparring, it would be like that. You bounce around a bit. If any of you have ever done boxing or boxercise, you kind of bounce on the balls of your foot and then punch like that. So we're doing sparring. So, like I said, a counter is always followed from a block. So I'm gonna do the head block, and then I'll do a gaigazuki. So this is if somebody has come to hit me over the top of the head and I'm blocking it, and then I'm gonna get them back, okay? So there's me saying it's not supposed to be violent. It's not. Okay, this is like what we do in sparring. So somebody's gonna come and get me from above on the head, so I block, and immediately I would counter with a punch. Okay, so that's, whew, it's very hot in my lounge. That's usually how we train sparring wise, to work on our blocks and punches. So that punch that I showed you was called a gaigazuki. So it's just a front punch like that if you want to try. So we usually practice our punches not from a yo-y stance. We usually practice our punches from a long guard stance. So in karate, we usually start with a guard. Okay, so your body is side on, your shoulders are pulled back, one hand is put in front, a bit like a policeman stopping traffic, and that kind of open palm, this is where the non-violent kind of side of it comes in as well, because if somebody was coming to try and get you, attack you, the first thing you'd want to do isn't go like that, because that's really aggressive. You want to put your hands up like this, go, I don't want any, you know, I don't want any trouble. You know, back off, I don't want any trouble, and then try and get out of the situation if you can. So a long guard puts that distance between you and the person that's coming to attack you. So that's why we always start with like a guard position, like don't want any trouble, don't want any trouble. Okay, but then obviously we learn other moves for if we had to. So we start in a long guard, body side on, hand out like this. Your other hand, your hikate hand, in this case it's your punching hand, needs to be ready as you're in the guard like this. Your other hand needs to sit on your hip, and what you're going to do is you're going to pull your guard back. That'll become your pulling hand, and you'll punch like that. So you'll be out in a guard, just do it slowly. I'm facing forward now, but you'll be facing sideways in a minute. So like that, and then pull back. Okay, so you're in a guard, and you'll pull back, and then this hand will sit on your hip. So you go in from this hand on your hip with your guard to a punch to this hand sitting on your hip. Okay, so you'll be side on like that and punch, and you've got to, it's quite difficult to see here actually, you can see my hips, you've really got to twist those hips, twist, because the power of your punch is coming from that twist. And that's what carries that punch. It's all from your hips. It's amazing. Karate, it's amazing hip workout. So you really have to stretch and then punch. Okay. Punch. Again. Twist. Punch. And if you're pulling this hand back at the same time as punching forward and you're twisting your hips, you do those two things, you can just feel how much more powerful it is than just that without moving. Just, there's so much more power in it. It saves you a lot of effort as well. And that's where a lot of power comes from in karate, with almost, it's wrong to say this, but almost without the effort, is that twisted movement. It just adds, it's like you've ratcheted up, like you're a loaded spring, basically. Whew, okay, so that is a Geigerzuki, okay? So that would kind of be to the body, that kind of punch. Okay, we're not allowed to punch each other in the face in karate at all. When we're doing sparring, we wear a padded helmet and padded gear, but we're only ever allowed to light spar. So we are allowed to make contact, but it's not supposed to be aggressive. It's more supposed to be, you know, sort of taps and things like that. It can be a little bit more than taps, but it's only ever light. Okay, so there's loads of kicks as well. So I've taught you some blocks, taught you one of the punches. There's loads of different punches. There's too many to go through, so that's why I was just going to show you the Geigerzuki and the importance of twisting as you punch, because it gives you the power. I really do want to teach you a very simple kata that involves that down block that I showed you and the Geigerzuki that I showed you. It just involves those two moves that I've talked about. A kata in karate. This kind of thing doesn't exist in kickboxing and stuff. It's very much karate. It's kind of a set of moves that are put together. So like I said there, you know, your down block is a separate move, so you punch. But in a kata, you kind of incorporate all these moves. It's a Japanese word and it means form. So it kind of, when people are watching a kata, it can kind of appear a bit like a dance, because it's just a series of loads of different self-defense moves, kicks, punches, blocks, all put together. You would never, if you were in trouble, say, you know, you did have to get out of a situation, you needed to throw a kick or a punch, you would never do a whole kata on somebody. It would just be like one or two of the moves out of a kata. But the point of a kata is to develop muscle memory, and that's another, the katas are another very kind of mindful side of karate, because you have to learn and you have to remember. You have to learn and you have to remember a lot of moves that come in succession very quickly, very fluidly, one after another. So I'm going to try and teach you a very basic kata. It was the first kata I ever learned when I was in my white gi and I had my white belt and I was going towards earning my yellow belt, my first ever colour, my first ever proper belt. So this is called Shizuki. It's very, very simple, but it's really difficult when you're starting out. So I'll try my best, okay? So basically it involves the down block, which you try and remember to pull your hand back as well as the block going down. And it involves, actually, it doesn't involve a Gaigazuki, I got that wrong. It involves a slightly different punch. It's very similar, but it's still different, because you're going to step and punch. Still the same punch, still the same level and everything, but you're actually going to be stepping. It's difficult because you're not going to be able to see my feet very well, so I'll try my best. And that's called an uwazuki, a step and punch. So let's just practice that for a minute. So go into a guard position, like that, so side on, pull your shoulders back, nice and long, put your other hand that's not in guard on your hips, okay? And then with your right leg, you're gonna step forward and punch. So you're not just standing on the spot punching, okay? Step and punch. Step and punch, okay? Right, so this kata involves just the down block and the step and punch, but you've got to do it in 4 different directions, okay? So we'll see how it goes, and I don't know if it's going to get me all in on screen. I hope so. Let's have a look. I hope you can see me, guys. I'm a bit in shadow because I'm in my lounge. Bear with me a minute. I don't think that makes a blind bit of difference, the light, never mind. Okay, so remember what I said? We always start with a rei in karate, a bow, which is respect. You're showing respect for others, okay? Respect for yourself too. It's also a form of self-esteem. So feet together, your feet need to be together, arms by side, and bow, okay? And then we get in, then we would announce the kata, okay? So we would announce the kata, and this is Shizuki, okay? Then you're gonna pull into yoi, which is feet shoulder width apart, both of your fists clenched and on your hips, and then just brought in front of you slightly. And yoi means you're ready, okay? So this is where the fun begins. You're going to be doing a down block. You're going to, first of all, face to your left, okay? You're going to turn to your left, and do a down block. So remember the down block from your ear down, and pull this other hand to your hips. So but you're going to do that at the same time you turn to your left. So you're going to, like that, okay? And then you're going to step and punch that way. Okay, so I'll go through that again with you. So let's just start from yoey. So that's ready. Okay, then you're going to turn to your left. Always a good thing in karate is to look in the direction that you're going to go in before you go in it. Okay, because that means you're also looking at your opponent. You're keeping your beady eye on your opponent. Okay, so yoey. So we're going to turn to our left with a down block first. Okay, down block, and then step and punch. Okay, now you're going to turn all the way round, and you're going to down block with the hand that you punched with. Okay, and then you're going to step and punch with your left arm. Now the arm that you've just punched with, you're going to do the down block with. So bring it across, and you're going to step towards the camera, down, and then step again, punch. Now you're going to turn so you're facing completely the opposite direction from the camera. This is going to be your down block hand. Your punching hand is going to be a down block hand, so you want to bring it across and turn and down block. So you're going to go, okay, and then you're going to step and punch. And that is it. Okay, you're moving in, I think it's 3 different directions actually. So I'm going to show you it as a whole. Okay, and then I'll go through it again slowly with you. Okay, so bow, right, announce kata, shizuki, pull into yoey, that's a ready stance, and now you're expected to go into the kata. So I'll just go through it so you can see what it would look like. Okay, so right, I'll go through it with you, okay, if you want to join in. So, bow, announce kata, shizuki, go into yoey, ready stance. One thing I forgot to actually join up here is that every move, I think I mentioned before, has a breath. So each move you do has a breath. So when you go into yoey, you tend to breathe out, and then you do your breaths throughout the kata, so it'd be like an outward breath on your down block and an outward breath on your punch, so it'd be like this. Okay, then turn this way, that's the one I didn't do. I meant to do one facing you as well, and then behind me. That's the end, and you just pull back and turn around into yoey again, and you finish the kata and you bow. Okay, I don't want to go over too much longer because I've been going for quite a while, but I just thought I'd throw a couple of kicks in for you, because I'm sure there's a couple of people out there, I know Kirk in particular, probably want to have a go at a couple of kicks. So here we go. Okay, so a front kick is called a mayagari. You always, not always, but start in a guard position, so long arm out, this hand again by your on your hips. Okay, and the front kick, you've got to twist your hips, so it's this movement, and then it's a front leg up like that. Okay, and a front kick is a bit like, so that was my foot, it's like a pushing movement against something. So you want kind of the sole of your foot to be showing when you do a front kick. No pointed toes, okay, because you break them. That's not good. Ouch. So from guard position, okay, you twist your hips, bring your knee right up above your belt, and then it's a kick. It's a very quick snap like that. You've got to snap it back. So what we're always taught when we do our kicks is that our knee always has to lift up to the hip line or above the belt. We've got to chamber it, ready, and then a quick kick out and back. Okay, so front kick, twist your hips, bring your knee up, kick, twist your hips, bring your knee up, kick. Okay, and now try and do it as a whole movement, so it's like that. Okay, and guard, kick, and again. These really do get your pulse rate up if anybody's doing it. And again. Okay, so that's a front kick. That is a Mayagari. Whew. Right then, so the next one's a roundhouse kick. This is a bit trickier. It's a lot trickier actually. So I'm not expecting anyone to join in with this, but I just thought I'd show you, just so you know a few of the kicks, because I've shown you blocks and punches, so I've got to show you some kicks. So a roundhouse, you would start from a guard, just like you've done with a front kick, but now this is the tricky bit, and you can't see my feet, so it's really hard. So the foot that is in front, you have to twist that foot so it points all the way around in the other direction. So basically you've got to pivot on the ball of your foot. Just going to see if I can show you a bit better. I'm not sure. It's really difficult. I'm in a lot of shadow for some reason. It's not easy. Anyway, I'll just go through it briefly. So I'm in a guard position for a roundhouse, and you have to pivot all the way around on your foot, and then this leg comes right up and your toes are pointed and you kick. So I could actually just show you that from standing, then you can have a go with it. You can actually lean on a bit of wall to do this. We quite often do that in training. So let me see, hang on, I've got a bit of wall. Right, so I'm leaning on a bit of wall. I want you to be able to see the kick. Leaning on a bit of wall here, facing forward. Your left foot needs to be facing the wall, your toes. So turn your left foot out almost like you're doing a curtsy. And that should be facing the wall, that foot. Then you need to bring your right knee up as high as you can, and then angle it like this, and then your toes are pointed, and then you fire out roundhouse kicks. Okay, and that is a roundhouse kick. There's a lot of work going on in your hips there. Like I said, karate is all about your hips. Okay, so a roundhouse kick would be a bit like this. Okay, land back in a guard. So here, like that. They're not one of the easiest kicks. Right, the last one I'm going to teach you is a side kick. Okay, in class we practice lots of our kicks on pads. So we'll have our partners there with a pad, and we'll be kicking the pad. Same with our punches as well. We do lots of pad work against punches, and then of course we partner up and we spar, so we do them against each other as well, and that's when our blocks come in as well that we practice. Right, so side kick. If you get a bit of wall again, if you can. Okay, side kick is similar but different to a roundhouse, because you're again, you're sort of going to be having to do it to the side, but this time you're not pointing your foot, you're keeping it flat. Okay, the impact goes on there. With a roundhouse, you're impacting here, you kick in there, but with a side kick, it's like that. Okay, so if I just turn you round, lean against the wall. You can do this from standing, but it's quite hard. Normally, I'll show you how a side kick's actually done, but this is the technique for it. So you bring your knee up, keep your toes pulled back this time, and you kick out to the side. So if we were doing an actual side kick, if I was sparring towards somebody and throwing a side kick at them, I would be in a guard. I would then, again, it's very difficult to show you the foot technique, just kind of giving you an idea for it. You would step behind and side kick. So I'd be in a guard, step behind, side kick. Okay, I think I have probably bamboozled your brains about karate enough now. It's a shame I've had to do it in my lounge, but there's been far too much noise outside. Otherwise I would have been doing it outside. Like I said, that's what I've been doing, because, and as you can see, simple moves are still hard and still get your heart pumping. So there's a lot of focus that karate demands. You really have to be in the here and now, not think about anything else. Easier said than done, I know, but in training, practicing martial arts, it actually trains your brain to just let go of those thoughts, because you're so focused on everything else. So if you are interested in karate or other martial arts as well, I do recommend it. I specifically took it up to train my brain a bit more, to focus, have a bit more mental discipline, and things like that. So, and it's amazing at getting you fit as well. But you can certainly take it out of your academy, off the dojo, and into real life situations. I don't mean the fighting, although if you had to, you would know as and when to use different techniques. You develop muscle memory over the years, like riding a bike, driving a car. So if you were in a situation, you kind of just automatically know what to do. It's amazing. I didn't ever think it'd be like that, but it is. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this session. Hope I've not tired you out too much. I'm boiling in my lounge. So yeah, and like I said, I would normally be out in the garden practicing it, because that's where I feel most at peace and most relaxed, because I can also hear the bird song and the breeze. I can focus on the trees and the grass if I'm getting a little bit tangled up in my karate moves or something. I can just stop for a minute and just breathe. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the session, and I recommend to anybody to take up something like karate if they want to help themselves with a bit of mental discipline, physical fitness, relaxation, believe it or not, anxiety, lifting your mood. It's worked absolute wonders for me, and it really has allowed me to transfer karate skills into real life about just being in the moment. Okay, thank you guys. Bye. Oos. I'm gonna bow out. Oos.